Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from True Off My Chest. Our first post is by Craig. My dad is angry because I didn't cover up for him after he gave our dog chocolate. He wanted share chocolates with our dog. When I-18M warned him that chocolate is toxic for dogs and could seriously harm her, my dad brushed it aside. He said that these are expensive Swiss chocolates, so it's probably safe. I looked at the box and told him it's even worse since it's high cocoa and the cocoa is the dangerous part. Then I went to take a shower. I thought he would heed my warning. When I returned to the living room, he had already fed her chocolate. We did get her to the vet in time. She threw up and her heart rate went way up, but fortunately has since recovered. At first, my dad wanted to blame me for it, but I told my mom what really happened. He was really upset at me for this, saying he already had to pay the bills, and that mom would have been much less angry if I told her I did it since I'm still 18. He also told me that it's my fault for not being more insistent in warning him about what could happen if a dog eats chocolate. What do I tell him? Update: I told my dad that if he really didn't believe me simply because I'm a kid, then he could have Googled. He only got more upset and said that it doesn't change the fact that I threw him under the bus. Our next post is by Super Duper. The girl next to me on my flight ruined my life. I was on a return flight from a weekend with my boys and I sat next to this girl. She told me about her life in her city, and I told her about my life in mine. We live in two different big cities. I felt like I could actually be myself around her. We kept talking and we both learned that we were essentially very similar people. I told her about certain traumatic experiences in my childhood, because screw it, I'm never going to see her again. There's no point in hiding it, and she was the first person that actually listened. She didn't try to one-up my pain by telling a story that somehow measures up. She just listened and empathized without making me feel like a charity case. After the flight was over, I told her if she's ever in my city, she should reach out. She said she would, but I 10,000% doubt she ever will. She gave me a few edibles. They were weak, and we went our separate ways. The problem is, after meeting her, I took a good long look at all the people I spend my time with and realized I don't really like any of them. The girls I'm talking to are a waste of my time. There was one girl I was seriously considering having something serious with, and now I don't even want to see her. She asked if I was free this weekend, and I told her I'm sick. The fact of the matter is, I just realized I don't want to pretend to be somebody else just so others can enjoy my company. And now I'm left with nobody who I can genuinely be myself with now. I spent an entire week with my friends having the time of my life just to come home and realize it's all bullcrap, and I don't know what to do. Our next post is by Odd Charity. My husband hooked up with a prostitute on his Asia trip. Sorry if this is too long, I've had the craziest 24 hours. My 26F husband, 30M, went to visit a school friend in Asia. I was completely fine with it, and even encouraged it because he was having a hard time at work and could use a breather. We've been married for 4 months and together around 4 years. Our wedding was really quick, mostly because my husband is working in the States and I had to marry him to come live with him. We didn't decide to get married just so we can live with each other. There was more behind the devotion. And we do have a migration case open for me. He said a few times this was going to be his bachelor's party. I was fine with this because I never expected him to do something this stupid. Communication was great for a few days. He would make this video blogs about everything they were doing together, and called me as soon as he woke up and as soon as he went to sleep. Suddenly it stopped. I would get a text at 2 to 3 a.m. saying he was so sorry, but they lost track of time catching up or calling but talking less than 6 minutes. The first red flag was when I opened Google Maps on our shared iPad and saw a couple of happy massage places. I didn't think any of it. I was almost sure they were having a conversation. The subject came up and they Google it. Anyway, when he called, I jokingly asked what he was up to. But instead of laughing, the conversation was just uncomfortable. He went off on me saying how controlled he feels and annoyed that I assumed the worst. This made me feel weird because I was clearly laughing about it. I ended the conversation so it didn't escalate. Next day goes by and he didn't say anything before going to bed. In his time zone, it's a 12-hour difference. Around 12 p.m. I got this gut feeling. I was so anxious and couldn't control it. I went on with my day trying to ignore it, but the anxiety was there and very strong. I noticed he was constantly online on WhatsApp, so I knew he was out partying. But I couldn't stop feeling worried. On my way back home on the train, it occurred to me that maybe something wrong happened with him, and because he was angry, he didn't tell me. So I got home around 6 p.m., opened the computer, and opened the WhatsApp app to make sure everything was okay. As soon as I opened, I noticed a chat with a girl. He was hiring her and asking her to come to the house and bring a friend. They discussed the price and a few comments about what they were going to do. I went on the conversation with his friend, and they did talk about it. My husband's friend asked him, "You did her?" And he said, "Yes, please come, what a trip." More stuff about how and who was going to pay them. I was so disgusted, I was so heartbroken, and honestly I stared at the screen for around 20 minutes just making sure I wasn't crazy. It seemed so unreal. I went on a rabbit hole to try to find all the information possible to find some type of explanation of what happened and make sure I wasn't misunderstanding. I opened the Google activities and found all the things he translated to try to talk with these girls. So basically I read everything they said during the act. I called his mom and sent her everything. She was the first person to come to my mind because we are very close and she always takes care of me. He texted me the next morning as usual, saying how much he loves me and missed me. I couldn't hold it. I told him I knew and hoped it was worth tossing our marriage to the trash for a few minutes of fun. He told me he was on bachelor's mindset and that he hated that I checked his stuff. I can't care less. I feel so grossed out. I feel like I just need to get out of here, but I'm trapped because of my paperwork situation. I just feel everything is not real. Our next post is by Mean Gift. My marriage is a joke. My husband Joe is immature to say the least. He's an excellent provider for the family, but outside of that he's pretty hopeless. We have been together for 9 years, but he acts like we aren't even married. The other day I noticed one of his front teeth was looking discolored. I asked him if he wanted me to make him an appointment with the dentist. He got upset and said I was embarrassing him and told me not to talk about personal stuff. He's a small guy and hardly ever eats because he doesn't have time. I asked him if he wanted me pack him lunch or snacks. Joe told me to stop trying to baby him. One day I was leaving the house with the kids and tried to give him a honey-do list, and he told me to stop trying to act like his mother. So I verbally told him the things I needed him to get done. I come home 8 hours later, and Joe had got nothing done because he forgot what I needed. I try to talk about our financial goals, and Joe felt like we didn't need any because all the bills were paid. We have no common interests, so I have been trying to find something for us to bond over. Joe plays video games and I read books most nights. Every idea I have gets shot down because it's too feminine, dumb, or uninteresting. I recommended board games, puzzles, bike rides, working out, etc. I'm at a loss. Joe is such a negative person and I do my best to bridge the gap. However, I am over it now. We have 4 kids, so divorce is off the table. I'll just deal with my roommate with benefits for 18 years. Edit, I have a lot of people asking how we got married and why I won't divorce. When Joe and I got together, we were really good at doing our own thing and then meeting in the middle later. I compared our relationship to a helium balloon tied to a weight. I was a high-energy, head-in-the-clouds dreamer, and Joe was mellow, calm, and collected. We got married because I thought we worked well together. The reason why I stay because majority of what I said is still true. We don't argue. We still do things as a family, and our family function is great. I just grew to want something more than our usual dynamic. Yes, we've been to marriage counseling. We stopped going because he would get mad when I brought up personal issues that could have been talked about at home. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.